Dan Hegstead, and welcome to my vlog and podcast, Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving. It is based on my book of the same title, and if you'd like to buy the book, and I think you should, the link to Amazon is on my website, danhegstead.com, and it's available in paperback. It's a Kindle e-reader, and it is an audiobook read by me, and I think that's the best version of it. If you'd like to book me as a speaker, I think that'd be a great idea too. All that information is on my website, danhegstead.com. And I forget this, you might want to subscribe to the channel here. It's growing very, very slowly. I do nothing to promote this, but if you find it helpful, maybe you've got friends who could use it, you could share it with other people. I want this to grow. Well, I want it to grow, but I want it to grow organically too. This is not for everybody. I see some of the other YouTube sites that have 1 million subscribers, and they're kind of interesting, some goofy characters and things you like. That's fine. This one is never going to see 1 million subscribers. I guarantee that. It's pretty different. But if you are getting some benefit out of it, yay. And if you know of somebody else who might, you could share it, and that'd be okay if it were to grow. I have been reading, and I'll put it in air quotes, reading some books lately, and I want to recommend some of those. Now, I have a hard time reading. I have some vision issues. That's part of it. I had myself tested for attention deficit 30 years ago, and they said it's measurable, but not to the point where you treat it. Okay, that's good. And I am somewhat dyslexic, so that seems to be getting worse. I don't know, does it get worse? So I have a hard time reading. I really have a hard time concentrating. And I'm better, but it's pretty tough for me to sit down and read a book. So I love audiobooks, and now that I have a little more time, I have been reading or listening to some audiobooks. And I had mentioned Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. One I actually did read 40 years ago was called The Road Less Traveled, M. Scott Peck. I actually read the book on paper. Terrific book. It changed my life. And I've gone back and now I listen to it these 40 years later, and it's read by the author too. He died a few years ago, but this was before he died. It's still as good as I remembered it. The good thing, the book changed my life. It truly did send me off in a different direction, in the right direction. And it gives hope to us humans. If you're ignorant and foolish, you can change and you can grow. And it gives me such hope. And that's one of the reasons I write this book here, is because words have changed my life. And I want to do what I can to hopefully pass that along. It makes a difference. So The Road Less Traveled, M. Scott Peck. It won't be hard to find. It's a massive bestseller. And then there's Further Along the Road Less Traveled, People of the Lie, and several others. He is such a terrific writer, can put these very complex sociological, psychological concepts into words that we can understand. And one of the things I take away from this as I reread it was the man was a psychotherapist, and people would come to him for therapy, and how common the story was that somebody was just beginning to have some breakthroughs into their conditions and get weller, and then they'd stop coming because it became too difficult. That's a very common theme. I've mentioned that here before. And how tough it is to actually go from coping to thriving. It is, I mean, man, if you do that, you're on the hero's hero's journey, and it's true, because it's tough to do. Once you do it, it's wonderful. The fear of moving forward is tremendous. Once you look back, you go, but it takes a lot of courage to move forward. But you're doing it. Pretty happy for you. Reading The Road Less Traveled, I thought it should be broken down into chapter and verse so people could sit and study it. I mean, it was that important, and I still feel that way today. A terrific book. Another one that I read years ago, a very simple little book, The Art of War. I want to recommend that to you. It's all about the art of war, and it has nothing to do with war whatsoever. It's a great book. Short, simple read, and you read it and you go, oh, I get it. It changes the way you think. The Art of War, Sun Tzu, I think is the, and what got me thinking about these books, and I want to mention The Four Agreements, by Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements. I heard somebody recently say, well, I deserve this, or I don't deserve this. That one catches my attention, and it's, why is that? I think when you're in the right place on the right path, things jump out at you. They become brighter, and you notice them, and you think, oh, you notice things you would not normally notice. And it's kind of a neat place to be because it happens a lot. And this person, and I've done it myself, I deserve this or I don't deserve that. And my BS meter started pegging. Nobody deserves or doesn't deserve anything. I just don't think that's true. Maybe you do. I don't know. Bad people aren't punished and good people aren't rewarded like they should be. Should is another one. So when I start thinking I deserve something, yes, I've written a great book. I deserve to be rich and famous because I'm helping so many people. I mean, that's hilarious. I don't think it's going to happen. You don't deserve anything. So I don't know. That's just in my mind today. If you find yourself thinking or saying I deserve or don't deserve, think about that. That can be kind of a flag for you, a red flag. The other one is being offended. Sometimes I feel offended by something somebody says, and I think, oh, that's not what a highly evolved person would be. You just don't. If you've moved from coping to thriving, you're not offended by stuff. You just observe and go, okay, and just let it go. That's not what adults do. Adults are not offended, and we're not offensive. Maybe I shouldn't say we, adults. Not too often do I get put in that category of being an adult. But think about that. There's a little red button goes off when you're offended by something. Think that through. Where is that coming from? Somebody did or said something offensive to you. It's pushing a button. Well, what button is that? What's the rule that they're breaking? What's that? Because it's about you. It's not about them. Why are you offended? And let it go. This is pretty high level stuff here. This is the top of the pyramid. When you can feel offended and say, oh, no, I don't need that anymore. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. The Four Agreements. I have not read the book. I'll put it on my list. I'll get the audio book. I think I saw it was read by Peter Coyote too. He's a terrific voice. But I've heard so much about it. I feel like I know it pretty well. On Wikipedia, it says the book offers a code of conduct claiming to be based on the ancient Toltec wisdom and advocates freedom from self-limiting beliefs that may cause suffering and limitation in a person's life. Check it out. I mean, there's a reason it is a super-duper bestseller. Not just a super bestseller, super duper. The Four Agreements. I mean, you read these and you go, yeah, that's good stuff. So I'm going to recommend the book having not read it, but I will I will. Agreement 1, be impeccable with your word. If you're going to say you're going to do something, you follow through and you do it. How seldom that happens. Don't get me started. Don't take anything personally. That's where that offended thing comes. You don't take things personally. If somebody says something offensive, I don't know, what, goofy, I try to think, well, what is the best possible way they could have meant that? They just didn't choose the right words. What's the best way that could be interpreted? And try and take it that way. It just makes things easier that way. People don't think things through. They say the first thing that comes in their head. They say stupid things. They say things they don't mean. And, let it go. What's the best way that could have been interpreted? Don't take things personally. Somebody said, you wouldn't worry how much people, what they think about you if you realized how seldom they do. Everybody's tuned into WII-FM. What's in it for me? They're all about themselves. I mean, look at a photograph of 15 people from last Christmas, and what do you look at? Yourself. Most people really don't care that much about you. They're into themselves. And it's just human nature. They don't mean to offend you. They don't care that much about you to offend you, probably. And if they do, they're pretty small people, and you're beyond that now. So don't take things personally. They probably didn't mean it, and if they did, it's not worth your time to be offended. Number 3, don't make assumptions. Oh, my gosh. Some people take jumping to conclusions to the Olympic sport level. Don't make assumptions. Listen to what people say, and they'll tell you. You have to sometimes listen pretty hard and beyond the words and that, but don't assume things. But the thing is, we want to be ready. We want to know the future. We want to be prepared. You can't do it. You just can't do it. Don't make assumptions. Easy to say, not easy to do. And number 4, always do your best. And, your best is not perfect, but your best is your best. And you can go back and do it over again. You can do it better next time, but always do your best. Right? We're recording this in the fall of 2022. People this year have been talking about quiet quitting, where you do your job, just show up and do the minimum. I don't know. I think a lot of people have been doing that for forever, but don't do it intentionally. I mean, do your best at your job or find a different one. You got to be invested in the work you do. It's part of the Buddhist teaching is to find the right vocation and do it. If you're not in the right one, find the right one. Keep looking till you find it. But it's no excuse to slack off. You do the best you can. Yeah, you get to have some off days and all that, but always do your best. Okay, those are the 4 agreements. I suggest buying the book. I know I will, and it's some good stuff. So, The Art of War, The Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, The Road Less Traveled, and other books by M. Scott Peck. Check them out. And then here's another book you should check out. The Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving. Okay, that's available on my website, danhegstead.com. And I thank you for listening and viewing Next Steps, Tools for Transforming from Coping to Thriving.